Hi, I'm Kattina Anglin.
And I'm Ellen Figueroa.
Welcome to another edition of
A Good Show.
Today with us on A Good Show, we have the blessing to have Miss Catherine Tyson-Sewell with us. And we're going to discuss her new book, Single Mama, Powerful, Not Pitiful. Stay tuned for another edition of A Good Show.
And this will be a good show.
It's going to be great. Thanks for staying tuned for this edition of A Good Show. Miss Catherine Tyson-Sewell, thank you so very, very much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes. I'm excited.
Yes, it's an honor to be in your company again.
Thank you.
Now, you say again because yesterday the broadcast for your show, CTS Wind Down, which plays on Bobo 89.1 FM.
Yeah.
We were guests on that show.
Such an excellent show. You ladies, let me tell you, when I got the recording of it, it was entitled Powerful Women.
Oh, wow. I believe that's a fitting title. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think that was a fitting title.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about you. I know that you are somebody's mama because you have
a lot of bodies, a lot of people. Yes, definitely.
Yes. So I know that Caitlin is probably the most famous of your children, having reigned as Miss Cayman.
Yes.
Elegantly reigned as Miss Cayman. And this isn't your first book.
No, it's not. So my first book is I'm Somebody's Mama. And that was just it was almost like the title rose up from the pages after I wrote the book. So when I finally read through the whole thing, I was like, this has to be called I'm Somebody's Mama. Because honestly, a lot of things that I did or didn't do was because I was somebody's mama. So that's how that title came about. For years, it was Memoirs of a Single Mother, Memoirs of a Single Parent, Memoirs. It went back and forth. And then when I read it from cover to cover, before it was published, I was like, this is I'm Somebody's Mama. Because that's how serious I think being somebody's mama is.
Yes.
So that's that. And, you know, that was many, many years ago, when I was still a struggling single mother. And it was just like my journals, you know, can you believe this happened? Oh my God, this happened. Oh my goodness, you know, and it was almost like just me just lamenting a little bit. And that's how that story came about. And then I'm a social worker by profession.
Right.
So I work with a lot of young women, or you know, at the time that I felt were doing some things that they could have done a little differently, and had they done it a little differently, their life might have looked a little different. So with my kind of journaling, I spoke with a couple of my friends who were social workers. They were like, you should write a book. And so that's how I'm Somebody's Mama came about anyway. So that my journals or my stories could help somebody, you know, that might have been experiencing the same stuff, but they were kind of making some decisions that they could have made differently, and tough decisions, you know.
Yes.
So that was many years ago. And then right after that, I was actually inspired for this book, Single Mama, Powerful, Not Pitiful, by my sister. So my sister became a mother, and then she became a single mother. And I would say, read the book, just read the book, you know. And she said, how'd you get through that? Read the book. She said, it's too long. So I started on this book then pulling out principles out of I'm Somebody's Mama. So that's what this is. It's kind of a handbook of, you know, just the titles just tell you, you know, quantity versus quality. Communication is key, you know, choose wise. Like everything is a little topic, because it was just principles being pulled out of I'm Somebody's Mama.
And this one won't be so hard to read. It's an easy to read.
It is.
For a woman like me, the print is perfect.
Yes, that's important.
No glasses
to me
required.
too.
No glasses required.
That was important to me too, because I was older when this was published. But you know, I'm Somebody's Mama is actually pretty easy because it's hilarious. It is.
Yes.
You got to
Yes.
read that. You're
Yes.
laughing, you're crying. It's a mess.
I was like
And
your sister. I did start it when it came out, and I must admit I never got to finish it. So
Yeah.
I really must go back at
Yes,
it. Because
yeah.
I'm now somebody's grandma
Look
and
at
somebody's
that.
great grandma.
Look at that.
I never know you might
Look
be
at
just
that.
be regarded as somebody's mama too.
Yeah.
Once you have a child, you're always somebody's
Well, it's
mama
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
everything reflects back you to what
Abs-
they need to
Listen,
do.
they're
You know,
always
yeah.
my babies.
You never have your own life, really.
Yeah,
you know.
that's what I say. And I'll tell you a little joke. And one of those things I did put, one of those principles I did put in the new book. I remember when my little children, they were small, and we went to somebody's house, and they said, "Oh, Catherine and her terrors are here." And that hurt me. I mean, that knocked me like, but as they said that, I saw my little angels jumping around in the people place and running around. And I was just like, y'all get over here, get over here. And I said to myself, no, now you know you got to watch your little children, right? But the next time they said it, I said, Catherine and her treasures are here. And so it's funny because I did an interview, and the interviewer said to me, "You prophesied that." And I was like, I didn't think about it. He said, you absolutely did. So at that moment, I wasn't happy with the word terror. So I put treasures on them. And then it pushed me to react to their behavior in a different way, and to also train them a little bit. When you go out to people's house, you don't jump around, carry on, go on with all kind of foolishness, because I don't want anybody calling you terrorists.
Right.
So, that was just one of the principles, that you really have to take responsibility for your treasures.
That's
and
right.
so I call them, like I call my three, they're my Tyson superstars. So I've put that on them. So they can't behave any other way than that.
You see, and that is so important, those words that we speak over our children.
Yes,
and our life
absolutely.
generally. The Word of God tells us that we, life and death is in the tongue. And we can turn that around. So nobody should ever allow anyone to speak negatively over their children or their own life. You draw the line and say, that's it.
Yeah, and I know people think it's a little joke sometimes, and they think, but it's not funny. I don't think it's funny. It's not funny to me.
And that verse goes on to say, and you will eat the fruit thereof. So whatever you let stand, whatever you call them, terror or treasure,
That's right.
You have actually reaped that fruit in eating of that fruit
Absolutely.
today. I mean, your children are very successful.
Absolutely, and I don't mean to cut you, but I'll just say, like there have been times where I'm gritting my teeth, like, oh my goodness, Lord, why I gotta do it this one? But it was still kind of, come over here, we're gonna hug this out, we're gonna figure this out, and so loving them through the problems, it allowed them to trust me. It allowed them to know that they can come to mommy, that even though they might have done something that I wouldn't be happy about, I was not going to prosecute them or persecute them for it or whatever. And so they were able to come and say, hey, I did this thing, and they could still know that how I'm going to handle it, it's going to be with love. And I was able to really see behavior turned around even in my home. And I try to do that with any children that I come in contact with as well, to just love them, kind of love them through it, that's important.
My
That's what I'm
dad,
looking for. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, my father, I could go to my father and say, oh, this happened to me in school today, or I did this in school today, and he would say, well, that was wrong.
Yeah.
And then he would ask me, do you know why it's wrong?
Yeah.
He'd always ask that question, do you know what made that wrong?
Yes.
And we'd have a short discussion about why what I did was wrong. And he would always say, well, now, you have to fix it.
Yeah.
Do you know how to fix it? Do you need me to help you fix it?
Wow.
So, I had a special bond with my father, in that while I did not have much time with my father, because my father was a seafarer.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, you have a single mother raising a child, right?
Yeah.
My father was a seafarer, but because of the way that he dealt with me when he was home, I knew that I had someone I could confide in.
Wow.
I didn't confide in him when I found out I was pregnant, because I didn't want to break his heart.
Right.
But in everything else, I was able to confide in my father, come home and throw my bag down and say, Daddy, this is what this person said to me in school today or whatever. And
well, that's funny. So what I got from that, and I have a principle in the book, it's called raise thinking people. So that's very important, because I might be driving in traffic and I'll see somebody cut me off and I'll be like, didn't even think about that. You literally thought you're the only person on the road. This is crazy. Like, we do so many things. We'll go in the grocery store and somebody will just push in front of you. And I'm like, come on. You're not just by yourself in this world. So I always remember like little things like that about my children. So when like my daughter, 4 or 5 years old, she's on the counter, you know, making an egg. And I'm like, hold on a second. What are you doing? Like, look around. Look at your situation right now. And, you know, little thing. And she'd just be looking around like, and I was like, you see yourself? So you're on a counter. You're next to a stove. And no adult is with you. So what's going to happen if your dress got fire? What's going to happen if this oil burns you? And she literally, and I just remember so many moments like that with them, that she was like, that makes so much sense, Mommy. Like, and just let her think, like look around and
rather
see.
than just grabbing them and saying, are you crazy?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
You know what could happen to you? And then
or beating that. Exactly. So guess what? Guess what I found out? I found out that the helper that we had at the time used to make her fry her egg. So she was teaching her something, but it was like a follow through. So this was like a Sunday, the helper wasn't there. So she was like, I'm cooking my breakfast. and
I know how to do that.
Listen. And she's a great cook to this day, you know, but just teaching her kind of like, you know, the boundaries and stuff like that. And I think that that is really, really important. And that is building a relationship, like you talked about with your dad. Building a relationship with your children is so important. I want them to be my best friends. They're my best friends. They love me more than anyone else in this world.
But you taught them, you taught them first to be great people. You know? And my brother, his daughter, now deceased, she'd come to him, Dad, and he'd say, well, what do you think about that?
Right.
And they'd go through how, you know, how did she see it? What did she think was the right approach? Why it might not be the right approach? And they actually walked through the scenario so that he could help teach her how to make the best decision. One of my fondest memories of her actually is she's standing by the back door with a BlackBerry at that time. So you had two thumbs going, and he asked her a question. She just so calmly looked up and she said to him, what do you think about that, Dad?
Give it back, right? And it's funny also when you said that your dad said, what do you think you should do about it? That's another thing I talk about, discipline, you know? Discipline is also key. Like, don't forget to discipline, but understanding what that means as well. I remember, like, if my son, one of them that loves the outside, one loves the computer inside, one loves the outside. So if either of them did something wrong, like my punishment for them would be to take away that thing that they loved, right? Say, okay, you don't get to go outside for the next 4 days. And that
4 days?
Yeah, like no, after school. Like you go to school, you come up, but you can't go out and play. We lived at Ocean Club at the time. There's 3 pools. There's tennis court. Their front. That was like murder, right? And so you know, he would basically tell me like, okay, when can I get to go out? I said, hey, you did that thing. And you knew that this would happen. So I didn't do that thing. Don't be mad with me. Be mad with yourself. So the next time you decide to do something like that, then think about the consequences of your actions. And so I remember the lady that was working with me at the time, she said, you know, on Monday, she said, Ms. Catherine, you know, you have really good kids, because the phone rang. And I went to hand it to him, and he said, no, I can't be on the phone. Mommy said I can't be on the phone for the rest of the week, so I don't want any more problems. Because that was one of his punishments. And she was like, I was away for the weekend. I didn't know you had imposed this. And he was like, nope, can't be on the phone. I know you don't know, but I'm not touching that phone. And that was always very important to me, too, because I think in the world, when you do suffer consequences for your actions, it's not necessarily that someone's doing something wrong to you. It's something that you've done that you're getting, you know, this is the consequence of it. So it makes you think about what I'm doing, and it also makes you make a decision. And that decision is, if I do this thing and this happens, then this could be the result of that. And so I can't blame anybody for that consequence. And I just think, like, parenting is serious. It's a serious thing, you know? So
It's a very serious.
Yeah, it's people, it's human beings that you're charged with.
And the thing is, you're not given a manual on how to be a parent.
That's the only thing you're not given a manual for.
So normally we parent how we were parent.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that's not always good.
Yeah.
That's not always good.
Exactly.
You know? So we find now that a lot of first-time parents who understand to take this serious are getting all sorts of books to see, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that?
Right.
But even with having that knowledge from a book, the practical of it can come across much different.
Yeah.
But it does help, you know, way before you just have a child and you raise them up and you're talking about your dad calling you and talking to you. I went home complaining about anything about school. It was, no. The teacher already got her education.
Thank you.
You know, the teacher already got his education.
I've said that to my kids. You need what they have.
You know, but, you know, so it was,
exactly.
You know, just, even if the teacher was wrong.
Yeah.
I had to listen to that.
Well, it's like, even if your boss is wrong, because let's translate that to real life. Even if your boss is wrong, you want to keep your job. What do? You can't beat the system sometimes. You might end up getting fired because you're fighting the boss on something that they're saying. If they say it, that's what it is sometimes.
If you say it, just let me do it. Just remember now, if it doesn't work out, I only follow the instructions.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's a good thing that we're talking about this. Who says what? And because what I pulled up here is nugget number 8. It's on page 30. And it says, be a voice in your children's head to combat the other voices that are already there and can do more damage.
That's such a good one. Yeah, and I have like 16 nuggets, by the way. Like that. But
so if you want to get all of the nuggets that's in this book, and they are golden, it is Single Mama, Powerful, Not Pitiful, and it's by Miss Catherine Tyson, and you can get it down there at Cayman Bay at Books and Books.
Yeah, it's that next chapter. It's called
Next Chapter. Yes,
and I can also get it from More Than Words. So that's Karen Chin has a new bookstore. She's actually my publisher, CLM Publishing.
She does such a great job, huh?
Yes, and also it's on Amazon. There's a couple of places.
Now, where is Miss Chin's store located?
In the Thompson Building.
Okay,
right,
just here in Central Georgetown.
In the center of town, yes. And there's a sign there, so you're on the second floor and you're there. And so that about that, you know, be a voice in your children's head is relationship. It's, are you building a relationship with your children? You know, can your children trust you for information because their friends are telling them stuff?
Social media is
they're listening to everybody. Exactly. Even some adults tell them foolishness. You know, like you'll hear some adults. You know, I've had grown people telling me, "Let your boys go and sow their oats," and I'm like, I want them to respect their bodies too. I want them to respect. No, you raise them up like girls. Don't do that. So I need to be a voice in their head too, because that's foolishness what that person just said.
Yeah, exactly.
That's foolishness.
That's foolishness, because you want your daughter to wind up, you know, pregnant as a teenager.
Because my boy is running around sowing his oats, with no consequence.
They must
for
learn
anything.
how to respect women and know that there's a time and a place.
Exactly.
But I want to say to you, Miss Catherine, tell us about I think you got a sign-in coming up down at the next chapter.
Yes.
When is that?
It is going to be on Friday, November the 10th at 6:30, and it'll be at Cayman Bay at Next Chapter.
At Next Chapter.
Yes.
So you can get it personally authored.
Yeah, I can.
Autographed.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll sign it for you.
I definitely want mine's autographed.
Yeah, sign it for you.
I want to pass it on to my great grannies and say, "See, I know that lady."
Yeah, definitely. And
I read the script.
And I, you know, I'm very excited about this book because it's been a long time in coming. Like I said, I started writing it right after I'm Somebody's Mama, and this is how long it took. COVID got in the middle, life got in the middle, but you know. This, to me, is not only for single mothers, it's for parents.
Male and female.
Yes.
It's for parents.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. For single fathers, for two-parent households, because it's really a lot of principles that are just the way you raise your children.
Yes.
Exactly. And even so, sorry, I have a head start.
Okay.
On some people with this book because I actually finished reading it
Oh,
today.
you did?
Yes. When I came on the show, I hadn't finished reading it, but I finished reading it today.
Studious lady.
Well, but for the demands of my life, I would have finished it already, because when you start to read it, it's like you said, it's such a simple, it's such a simple read, but so powerful, and you can just find yourself about on the pages, you know, situations that you have faced or that you are facing, or you're thinking about, well, what would happen ever if, you know, and somehow she's just managed to capture it all and put it in a very short but powerful novel. And yes, I can read the script.
Well, if I can read it all out, then anybody can.
All right.
Now, you know, both Ellen and I are Christian mothers also. So when I got to Tyson Nugget number 15, prayer is a conversation between you and your maker. It's not meant to be complicated at all.
Not at all.
But you go on and you press parents.
I'm getting excited. I can't wait to go read it.
You give me cold chills when you read that nugget.
but everybody, so many people come up with an excuse for not praying, and they say, oh man, you know, I want to have a really great prayer life. And I say, pray when you're going down the supermarket.
Right, exactly.
Pray while you're driving.
That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, and so I'm reading the book, and she says, pray while you drive, pray while you work, just pray for yourself and your children, and count your blessings, sing them out. Unhappiness is always around, but there's always something to be thankful for.
That's right.
Be thankful for all of the bounty in your life. Some people are not blessed to be parents. Some women try for a long time to have a child and can't. So count your blessings. But prayer is something that you can do all the time for your children.
Absolutely.
I mean, I find myself 6, 7, 8 times for the day saying to God, you know, dear God, please continue to protect my son. Dear God, please bring peace to my son at this moment. Dear God, thank you so much for your provisions for my son. And it's just, I'm typing and I'm praying. I'm driving and I'm praying.
That's right.
You know, I'm walking across the street and I'm praying. Better than walking across the street with your cell phone in your hand.
It doesn't have to be this complicated. You know, you have to be in a certain environment. Or you have to have,
and you have to be on your knees.
And
you have to close your eyes.
Right.
Or you're going to go through a whole litany.
It's your God, right? He created you, so that's your relationship with him.
That's
so
right. And it's
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. Like, he's there with you. He has delivered you. He has brought you there. So why not?
Preach it, sister.
And I named that chapter "Prayer Doesn't Hurt" because I'm talking to people that don't believe in God. I'm like, all right, so you know, but it won't hurt. But like living a Christian life, what would it have hurt? You know, being a good person, being a decent human being, living a clean life. Like, if at the end of your life, you know, there wasn't a God, what did you lose anyway? You lived an amazing, positive life. Like,
that is my point always. What if at the end of it all, we found out that it's not? What did we lose?
Nothing.
A matter of fact, we gained.
Exactly.
All true. Because we gained all through because
you lived a life that
a good life. We were able to encourage other people along the way. But there is a God. Oh yes, He is there. So but we're just saying you have
well, that's the reason why I said prayer doesn't hurt. Like, it just doesn't hurt. Like, you can sing and pray, and you can walk and pray. It doesn't matter. Just pray. Just cover your life. Just cover your kids. Just cover it all and thank God for it. Just thank God. You know, that I thank God that I have a closet full of clothes that I can choose from. I guess simple, but I have it. But so it's
gratitude. It's gratitude for.
Instead of finding what's wrong.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
But what our treasure is where our heart is, and we speak from the abundance of our heart. So if we're in a grateful position, right, then we don't see that we're short of one gold blouse. In our closet. We look at it and we say, oh, thank you God, I have so many pieces to choose from. You know, because you will always, if you want to complain, you will find something.
And I think that was just really good in raising my children, because they're really such decent human beings. They're so awesome. Like, I love them as people. They're such great people. Like, they're kind and they're loving and they're just amazing, you know? And it's because, you know, I raised them with that attitude of gratitude. I raised them with that positivity, you know, like if something happened, all right, how do we fix it?
Well, Miss Catherine, certainly a half hour is not enough time. So we're going to have you back on the show. We want to thank you for coming on this time. We anticipate having you on again. And I just want to take the time to invite everyone to get your copy of Single Mama, Powerful, Not Pitiful. And I want to thank you for staying tuned to A Good Show. You can watch A Good Show on Channel 33, Logic, on Cayman Life TV on Sundays and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And also on Big Fish 95.5 FM on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 12 noon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching A Good Show.
And we'll see you again next week at the same time.
A Good Show is proudly sponsored by H. Philip E. Banks, Attorney at Law. For all of your legal needs, Philip E. Banks, Attorney at Law.